So hi everyone, welcome back to another lessons on Python hands-on. So in today video we are going to learn, or in today lessons we are going to learn what is the string concatenation. Also we will do some practical hands-on with the different use cases, and also more specifically what is meaning of string concatenation and what are the use cases of this. So where we can use this string concatenation in programming, coding, or maybe in any application you are building in any other programming languages. But more specifically in this video we are going to doing some code in Python. Okay, so let's first try to understand what is the string concatenation. So you can see I have written some problem statement. Write a Python script to concatenate 2, 3 or more string and print the result. So this is the very basic core thing about the concatenation. Okay, so as you can see, it's a formal definitions. String concatenations in Python or not in Python, any other programming languages, is the process of combining two or more string to form or create a new string. Okay, and the Python provides several methods for concatenating. Okay, and each offering based on the specific requirement of the task. Okay, so there may be different way of combining multiple string together. Okay, and how based how you need this one and in which scenario you use string concatenation. So there are different use cases also mentioning, and with the different way we can do a string concatenation. Okay, so let me show you some of the most useful examples, where the in which cases importance of a string concatenations come, what are the scenario why you need to learn a string concatenation. Okay, so the very first thing you can see, building the dynamic string. Okay, and let me first show you, and the second one is user output. Okay, so whenever we displaying something to the console, some messages to the console, so string concatenation is required. And the third one is data manipulations. So this is very common task we generally most frequently perform while doing a string concatenation. Okay, so let's try to understand one by one. Okay, so when we're building dynamic string, so what is meaning of dynamic string? So you can see here this is a very simple program. Suppose I have written this line of code, 3 line of code. So you can see in first line of code I have created one variables and assigning some user value or username. In next variable I am generating or creating one messages. Okay, and in these messages we are using some dynamic string value based on the username. So you can see this is a username. Every time somebody execute this program, okay, so whatever value we assign here, it will be appended with this value. Okay, so this here we are using concatenations. Okay, and how we can perform concatenation with the plus operator, you can see here. Okay, so let me show you one more interesting example. So what is meaning of a string concatenation? Okay, so suppose we have already, like suppose C, D, E, like that. We have one string like that. Okay, and if we want to add something, let me show you this one. Okay, so it means I am adding one more string with the already existing string with the help of plus, and I am extending this string. Maybe at the end I am adding this one. Okay, again I can do the same thing. Let me copy here, and instead of we are considering this is original string. Okay, now I'm going to add something before. Okay, A, B, C. Okay, you can write anything. This is not any fixed rule. You can write any string value. Okay, so you can see. So in one case what we are doing, these are original string. Let me sorry, here we are going to store original. So what is our original string? This one is original string. Okay, and original string we are going to add in first one end, and in this one we are going to add before. Okay, so one more scenario it could be here. Okay, so that we can add some string after and before. or it might be D, E, F. Any string could be, okay. I'm just explaining the example. Do not worry about the value about this string, okay. So just I'm showing. So you can see these are the different scenario, okay. In first scenario, we are adding at the end, okay, where I'm adding at the end. Here I'm adding at the beginning, okay, or start you can say. Here in both end we can say both end, okay. So you can see whenever we adding a string to the any of the either of the end positions, okay, or you can see or extreme, or we can say either of the end, okay. Maybe for end may be two, like start or end, okay. So you can see in this case I am adding at the end, and in this case I am adding before, and in this case we are adding in from in start and at the end itself, okay. So whenever we adding something to either end of the string, the given string, then it is called a string concatenation, okay. So you can maybe this say, so what is meaning of this, you already know, right? But there is one minute difference between string embedding or string concatenations, okay. So that's why let me explain you. So maybe you are original string in this, okay, or if you want to perform some output like these are C, D, E, okay. So these are original string, but if you want to add something like A, B, C, D, E, something like anything you want to add in somewhere between the string, okay, string character, so this is not string concatenation. So this might be concept of string embedding or replacement, okay, or placing some string or changing some string or replacing some string, okay. So there might be some concept of replacement or concatenation something, or it could be anything, right? So this is not string concatenation, this is string embedding and replacing the string with some new character, okay. So this I'm trying to explain. So first example, you can see building the dynamic. So you can see whenever the user typing something, you will get the dynamic message. So if you change here, okay, anything here you can add, so the message will be changed and the value of this message will be automatically changed based on this, because why we are using some variables, okay. So we learn what is the meaning of string concatenations, how we can add with the help of plus, okay. So you can see we are adding plus plus, and make sure the data type should be always a string, okay. This is also a string, this is also a string, this is also a string. If you want to add some number, okay, something like that, and if you want to concatenate with this one, so then you will get error, okay. So in that case what you can do, so see any number of string you can add, okay, any places you can add, okay, there is no any big thing, but you can argue like, so why you're explaining this one, okay. So you can see in last one we have discussed this one, right, or something like in between, okay, right. So this is changing some string, this is not a string coordinate. So you can argue that okay, so we are doing here either of the end we are using, no, we are not changing some inside the string. Obviously any number of time already some there is some string value, okay. So not like in same string value we are, if replacing something in the same string, that is not string concatenation, okay. So we are adding different value, okay. So at least 2 or 3 values should be there for concatenation, okay. In single string if doing something, that is not called string concatenation. This is one more thing, okay. So I am adding some number, so you will get some error. Why? Because we can concatenation is only possible in case of a string, not case of numbers. So this number means any other data type. But if you want to do something with the number itself, so in that case you have to convert into the string, okay. Because the string concatenations is the operations of the string, not the operations of any other. There is no any concept of concatenation of the number, concatenation of booleans value, concatenation of any float value. So there is no any concept of that, okay. So that was the concept of dynamic building, okay. So you might have getting your understanding clear, okay. So this one. Second examples, let's take the second example. So you can see here building a file path. So whenever you doing some operations, or you're working with file operations, reading the files, writing the folder, something like that. So there might be whenever building some path value, absolute value, relative value, relative path, absolute path, you might have heard about this. So whenever doing some string file IO operation in programming languages, or not even programming languages, even web application, also they are needed a programming functionality operations. So anywhere you are doing some file handling task or file operation with the help of code. So these are the also thing, somehow you need to build something with the help of dynamic path, okay? Because sometimes if you are reading some folder, right, or we are performing some loading the folder, reading this all folder, what are the files inside this folder. So if you are doing this, so you might have heard, there might be some common path, and each path is concat, and each string or each file have different path, okay? So there might be some called home path, base path sometimes is called, that path is already fixed, okay? Because you are using computer, so there might be home path, some there is maybe if your current folder path, so there might be some prefix of the any path, right? So that time we are storing into some variable that is called base path, and then file name or file path would be like that, or even we can say base path and file name, so we can concatenate together. So this is also a second use cases of a string concatenation, okay? So I think I'm not going to explain this variable, what is the meaning of code, because this is a simple code. I'm just explaining concatenation. You can get the easily idea. So base value and then file value. Based, if adding the two together, so we can creating one complete path or file path. Or maybe suppose you are, suppose you are creating some program, and if you want to upload something to server, right? So in that case you have, because the base path will be same, right? But which file you have to store, because we are uploading the file, so maybe dynamically uploading, and we want to create some file name, and then based on that we are adding this file name, and then we are storing somewhere. It may be for database, or somewhere you are storing the file path, okay? Or maybe uploading something to something. So that is also important. One more example it could be there, whenever you're creating some URL, or maybe you are creating routing, okay? So routing means, suppose there is some domain name already. Let's suppose write my domain names like www.codersarts.com. So suppose this is domain name, okay? And then if you write to complete file URL, okay, complete URL for something, let's suppose, so what we can say domain, and then you can concatenate. Let's suppose there is some already pages, machine learning, or let's suppose write it simple, Python, okay? This is URL, okay? So make sure there should be not a space, assignment help, okay? It could be something like that, okay? Not this dot, it might be something like that, okay, with the help of dash. So it will be complete URL, okay? So if you type, I'm just explaining, this is already exists, okay? So let me show you. Just I'm showing real life example. You can get the idea where it might be, but somehow we are going to use in background, okay? So it might be helpful, okay? So you can see these are contact details. Already you can see the contact information is there, but so there in behind the scene we can see in the server we have written something, right? So I can check like Python, okay? So let me show you this is example exists or not. Assignment help, okay, something like that, okay? So you can see this page is all exist, but how I've generated this URL in server, right? So whenever writing code in backend, or for building this website, so I have written something like that, okay? So maybe domain name is this, and this one, and maybe sometime domain name automatically comes, but actually these operations happen somehow. Maybe I am doing, or this is manually doing, but manually doing means somehow automatic code is working behind the scene, right? But this happen inside this server code, okay? So the first example where we use string concatenation, we are creating some dynamic messages, right? Second one is building the file path, or building some URL or routing, right? And routing we are doing something. Routing means we are creating some pages and complete website page or link or something. One more very interesting problem, this is always we need when we're doing some database operations, right? So in database operations, so every time you do not have to write something like select a star, okay, from employee, right, something, because this is a very simple query, right? You are just starting the what is the meaning of a star. But if you want to write some complex query, and that query should be dynamically generated. Suppose, let me show you, I'm typing something here, okay? So let's suppose Python, okay? So you're getting some output. So I can type anything here, right? I can type database, right? You can see I can use machine learning, anything I can type, right? So all these values are continuously changing, right? But so whenever writing the query, similarly somehow this is handled inside database, right? So this value is somehow is taking. So how we can getting this dynamic value in the query? So in that case, it might be some where clause, right? So it might be where, okay, search, where, or maybe something call any, give any field name, let's suppose title equal to, okay, so it might be something, let's say search value, okay, this is search value. So you can see this is one string, okay, because this is normal constant value if you're writing something, but this is not search value should be this one, okay, search value, okay, search value should be this, right? So if you are machine learning, right, or suppose, let's suppose some Python, let's suppose it's called Python. So first time we are searching Python, because again every time we are not going to hard code it something, right? We are just because we do not have control over the database, we only have the control of the application. So somehow we are getting this value from here, and this value is connected with the database, right? So here we have to replace this value here, okay, else it will show error, because what is search value, this it will treat it as a normal something, right? It normal is treated as a constant variable, constant value something, okay. So in this case how you can do, so in this case you can do like that, search value equal to, and then after with the help of plus you can add this one, okay. So this fine. So now what will be our final string? Now our final string will be something, after if this will be executed, it will be something called Python, and like this. So this will be our complete string. Equal to sign, there is no any difference, but still for readability purpose you can do that anyhow, right? So this is third scenario where we using string concatenation when building the or constructing a SQL query. So I can even show you the more complex query, but just I'm explaining where I can use there, okay. So it might be there, maybe something like you can write, later if you want to add something, select a star from the employee where the title equal to this, or title means maybe you can give it, okay, name or something. I'm just explaining, so do not confuse, because what is in the use of title in case of employee, okay, it might be job title, right? Anything you could consider. Again, so select a star from the employee where title equal to this, okay, and then you can write something order by, okay, order by name or order by title, something like that, right? So maybe this also can concatenate here, so this will be appended here at the end, okay. So this is our correct validated valid query, okay, but this is not valid query. Obviously this valid query we will not get any output, okay, fine. So this is a third example, everyone. So constructing the SQL query dynamically, file path or domain routing. Third one is we want to show some welcome messages or thank you messages, okay. So maybe whenever creating some, maybe some store or something, or if you want to close some program, or so you can see, or maybe if you are using some ATM, every time you withdrawing cash from the ATM, so you get some predefined message like thank you for withdrawal or visiting, thank you for visiting us, or maybe some anything could be bank name, something like that, let's say SBI, okay, SBI bank, or maybe any locations, address or something, it might be something. So you can see these are very common thing. Maybe when you are greeting something or we closing something, or at the end you welcoming something, okay, welcoming, greeting, or we can say just take care or something, or maybe just you are you are doing some mm, gesture for bye something like that. So you can see like that, okay. And this one, third one, this one, constructing the SQL query, okay. So let me show you more examples. So that's why I'm saying this is very useful. Again, if you want to print something, okay, so you can, this example it will be little bit somehow related with this one, but if you understand these three concepts, this next you will understood or understand easily, okay. So there is something, if you want to presenting information to the user, okay. So whenever you're running something, right, so you can say here, so this is print, right, hello, okay, something, and maybe something, or you can print some messages, okay. Let me show you, just I'm writing something, okay. So you're getting here something like that, but if we can store some variables, then you can do. So similarly you can see these are some first name, last name, greeting, and then we concatenation. So basically greeting the message. So I think in first one is was with the help of some of the 1 and 2, okay. Also in here it may be multiple, you can concatenate with the help of plus, okay. So you can see you can directly write all these messages inside print also, and you can store to the some string variables, okay. So there is no any issue. Similarly, creating some user-friendly messages, server messages, or error log, okay. So I can already explain, if there is something in numeric, you have to convert into the string, then you can concatenate, else it will not possible. So only the learning is there, plus use the whole concatenation, and if there is a different data type, you can concatenate somewhere. There is more use cases, you can see other way, like there is some data, okay, and if you want to store somewhere data, maybe from JSON format, CSV format, dictionary format, these are type of different data, and based on that data you want to concatenate all together, okay. So you can see something here, okay. So these are the data, maybe some you are storing to the some file, or maybe you are creating some rows, columns, okay, something. So you can see these are all numbers, and then you can see we are converting this number to a string, and then we are concatenating, okay. So there is one method called join, okay. So if there is some structured data, okay, so basically join is used for some of the data structure. So there is a structured data structure means there is some list, tuples, or maybe some dictionary, something like that, and somehow extracting this data, and repeatedly we concatenate here, okay. Because in this there is some pattern, okay. So if you want to add all of these, right, if you want to concatenate all things together, so how you can do that? Every time you do not have to write something, let's call data 0, right, 0, data 1, okay, data 2, right. So I think it will be very not intuitive, right, because you all know there is some structure how to access this data, right. So these are form of structure. So why we are doing this manually? Because we are going to spend more on time and effort, okay. There is no any benefit, but is there some format? So we can iterate something, and we can iteratively it will do, okay. It's automatically this will do this operation. So how they can do? So with the help of join, or with the help of comma, you can see you can add any delimiter, okay. So how you want to add, if you want to add with some this thing, so let me show you. If you want your output something apple, okay, banana, or orange, okay. So this is if you want to expected output should be this, then this one is there, right. But if you do not want to this, if you want to do like that, so you can also do here, okay. So this is meaning of joining multiple string together, or even you can remove. Okay, so also one more interesting point here. Okay, so you can see in all of these, okay, so we are not, concatenation is by default, it will not adding some spaces between any of the concatenated string. Okay, so just you have to take care. So it will add something, so maybe your output you can see for this case. Okay, and so let me show you. For this case your output will be A, B, C, original is D, C, E, you can say C, D, E, right? So C, C, D, E, and then one, and D, D, E, F. But you can see there is no any spaces between, right? So maybe if you want to something like that, okay, C, D, E, you can see it like that. So it will not work like this, is not called. Obviously you can say the string concatenation, but in this case you have to add more string. So but I'm just saying, if you adding only this plus, so it will, output will not like that. Okay, it will be without a space. Okay, it will be like that. Okay, also you're saying that's showing some error, right? But that is not an issue. Also that will be valid string. So if there is want to print something, so you can see this is a space is already there. Okay, so maybe you have to add something, or maybe you can see this one is nice example they are already explained where we are. Okay, in this case, or also you can see here in this case. Okay, or maybe if, let me show you, or maybe you can manually add some space. Okay, so like that, maybe if you want to some spaces between, so I'm explaining here. Okay, so in this case you can see there's no spaces, so our output will be like that. Okay, right? So now we want to get something like that, so we can concatenate any string with some predefined prefix or suffix as well. Okay, any value you can add. So here you can see if you add something comma, so all string will be added with the comma, but there is no space here. You can see there is no space here, but if you want to add some spaces even comma, so it will be like that, let something like that. Okay, so this is a very helpful example or very helpful function. Join is a very helpful function every time you need it, whenever doing some this type of operations. Okay, so join is doing very helpful. Make sure join is not using for any variables even you can do, but I'm just saying it more intuitive way or more wise way of good programming languages, it, because there is some data structure, your effort will do more easily, your task will complete it very easily with the help of join if there is some pattern or there is some structure of the data. Okay, so this is join is helpful. Similarly you can see here, if we are adding something all numbers together, so you can see we are iterating over the loop, getting one number each time, and then adding to format number, and then converting each number to a string, because string concatenation only possible on a string. And also you can see we are adding some spaces at the every time we are adding something. Okay, so it's like that. Okay, so till now these are some use cases. Let me show you here are the some common methods. So with the help of plus we can do string concatenations. Okay, and so this plus operator is used. There is some placeholder text. Okay, so this is called string evaluation something. Okay, so you can see here it might be called as a string embedding or formatting somehow. It's not core concatenation. Okay, because I have already explained, because with the help of this curly bracket, so you can embed anywhere. Okay, this is not anything like but even the words would be different. Okay, so maybe different word we are adding together, so you can see. Okay, let me show you. Yeah, this one, yeah. So also you can consider, but I'm just going to explain how we can do string concatenation with the help of this itself. Also second one is the format function. So what is the syntax of format function? In this example it is explaining or describing. And one more example, string concatenation, how we can do with the help of f string, formatted string. Okay, so there is one more called join. Okay, and the loop. I think we have already aware with this one, already aware with this numbers, plus we have already seen. Okay, and I think format method, this is also part of a string formatting, what I will show you in the practical hands-on. F string also. Okay, so just these two method you have to learn. Okay, so format method and F string. Okay, so these are already explained. Plus using formatted method, right? F string, joining, concatenation with a loop. Okay, we are using plus equal to. Okay, yeah, so here we can get the idea. We are using plus equal to this one. Okay, so this is also called a string concatenation, or merging something together, right? Or combining something together. So these are different 5 method. Okay, so I think you have some depth understanding of the string concatenation. In next video we will do the all practical hands-on of all the things we have discussed till now. Okay, so thank you for watching everyone. Let's meet in another one with this useful examples, and we will do all hands-on. Okay, so thank you for watching.